Okay, we need to have a talk because I'm getting so many messages and stuff right now that it's kind of driving me crazy because we are on the cusp of a lot of new hardware coming out, and I've got people asking me what they should buy today. We've said it a million times, when you guys are buying and building new equipment, you need to have your ear to the ground so you know what's coming because it's going to affect what's already out. So today I'm going to give you some buying advice, that way you hopefully haven't wasted or don't waste any money here in the near future.
The Sennheiser HD58X Jubilee headphones offer everything audio enthusiasts desire, continuing from a long line of innovation. Weighing in at just 260 grams, gold-plated connector, 1.8 meter detachable cord, and full rich sound make the Sennheiser HD58X headphones from Drop the obvious choice for those who are serious about sound. Sign up for Drop is always free, so take advantage of this deal by heading to Drop using the link in the description below.
So this is another one of those patented talking head videos, so feel free to go ahead and minimize this and put on your favorite music if you like, because I just want to give you guys some information as quickly as possible, since we are literally on the edge of just a crazy summer when it comes to hardware. You've seen us already talk about it in some of our other videos regarding Zen 2 and the Ryzen 3000 series. We've talked about how Intel doesn't really have a mainstream kind of a launch or match happening right now. We also talked about some of the new stuff coming out from AMD regarding graphics cards, and there's going to be rumored to be some changes here coming from NVIDIA. So there's a lot to talk about. So it's kind of concerning, and I feel bad if you're one of those people that are watching this and have sent me this message. You know who you are. I've gotten tons of them. People that are currently working on various builds. And I've said it before that it makes sense to buy parts over time if you can't afford the best now, or at least the best that you could afford for your budget now. Then maybe it's worth waiting a little bit longer, adding a little bit more to your budget. That way you can get a better, more future-proof or future-friendly PC than by saving money today because you didn't want to save a little bit longer. The problem with that piece of advice, and admittedly it's not all advice is perfect, is the fact that you don't necessarily know when new hardware is coming. Now we did kind of know that Zen 2 was coming from, well, Computex last year was rumors, CES this year were some official announcements, and then obviously we had Computex, and then E3 where all of the cards were basically shown, and we knew that July 7th was the date that a general availability for both graphics from AMD Radeon as well as AMD Zen 2 based CPUs are going to be available, like I said, the 7th of July. Now what I'm kind of confused is I've gotten some messages from folks that are like, hey, I just went out today and bought myself a 2600 or a 2200G or whatever. What motherboard should I get? And I'm thinking to myself, oh man, maybe utilize that return policy if you've got one, because even if you're thinking, I'm not planning on going Zen 2, or I'm not planning on going, well, I can't even give an Intel counterpart because there's really not one to really kind of compare with this launch. It's existing SKUs. But it still sort of applies here, because if AMD comes out and is truly taking back market share versus Intel, two things have to happen from Intel. An answer in terms of product SKUs or a reduction in price. Now, we didn't necessarily see that happen with the first generation Zen, but with the IPCs, rumored, again, there's no first-hand experience here yet, rumored to be improved over last generation and exceeding Intel currently, then it would make sense that they would have to potentially lower the price. Now, Intel's more expensive as it is, so even if they lowered the price to match Zen 2 and the performance is the same, well, then I guess you have choice. With the AMD new platform having newer features though, like PCIe Gen 4 and 8 gigabit USB throughput rather than 4 gigabit and all that sort of stuff. So there's lots of things to talk about there. One of the things that tends to happen with retailers, whether it be Newegg, Micro Center, I guess Memory Express in Canada and all that sort of stuff, is when older generation stuff is being phased out. I can tell you right now, AMD's not making new CPUs for older generation Zen. They're not, motherboard manufacturers aren't making new motherboards for the X470 and older. They've got all of their manufacturing process pumping out the newest stuff. So what's going to happen is, as older hardware is to be phased out, you're going to start seeing things like bundle deals, you're going to see big rebates, you're going to see slash prices. So it makes no sense when right on the edge of a new hardware product being launched to go out and spend the full retail cost of something that's available now when it's more than likely going to drop in cost. Now, sometimes that cost savings is enough to even be able to bump you up one whole processor tier or maybe even one whole graphics tier. Now, when it comes to the graphics side of things, we still don't know exactly all the details and stuff yet regarding the NVIDIA stuff. We don't know how exactly 5700 XT and 5700 are going to truly stack up. But I can tell you right now what has always tended to happen, and it happened in Pascal, was when AMD launched a new graphics card, new SKUs, or a rearranging of price, or sometimes just a complete stack change has happened from NVIDIA. For instance, the Vega 56 and Vega 64 launched. NVIDIA then launched the 1070 Ti, which slid right in between, obviously, a 1070 and a 1080 to sort of give you more competition or a better performance per dollar or brand value or however you want to look at it at that particular price point, giving you now choice, options, and more than just one competitor. So the whole point of this video right now is to kind of basically tell you, pump the brakes, stop, don't buy any hardware yet right now. Seriously, even if you're not planning on buying the newest stuff, changes in product stacks and prices at the retail level happens all the time. In fact, oftentimes a manufacturer will even incentivize through manufacturer rebates, bundle deals, game codes, all kinds of stuff that they want to move the old product off the shelf because they want people adopting the new stuff. So they want the old stuff out as quick as possible. They're gonna blow it out and the new stuff is gonna come in. Now we're gonna go all the way back to first generation Zen, I believe 2016, when the 1800X and the 2700 or 1700X and 1700 and all that launched. The 1800X cost $500. It was an 8-core, 16-thread processor that was basically double the cores that you could get from the Intel offering potentially disruption in the product stack of the X99 platform, or the 5960X, which was a 16-core processor, for a much better value at $500. Half the cost of a 5960X, but with more than half the performance. It didn't match the performance, but it gave you more than half the performance for half the cost, which is a better performance per dollar. The same thing happened with the 2700X. Remember, there was no 2800X, just the 2700X and down, where we saw a particular launch price, and then it quickly sort of came down from there. So I would also be potentially leery of running out and buying new hardware on day one, especially for AMD, because it's likely we could see a price drop over the next few months, especially as we get closer to back to school. Back to school sales are a legitimate thing that happen in pretty much all retailers, as well as Christmas deals and Christmas bundles. And I wouldn't be surprised if the $499 3900X, that is a 12-core, 24-thread part, doesn't drop down to the potential of $400 or maybe even like a $379 range, where the 3950X part at $749 slides in at the $500. We've seen it every single launch from AMD. A launch price followed by a price slide, which makes me feel bad for the early adopters on the AMD stuff, because although it's great, you potentially then see this, well, your performance per dollar is terrible versus someone who bought it at a better price with a more refined and a more matured manufacturing process of the node or the die, and they're getting potentially better performance for lesser money. So this is why you need to pay attention. You need to have your ear to the ground. And if you just ran out and bought a new processor or a new motherboard because you're building something right now, I would potentially return it. Get your money back and hang on to it, because at the very least, you're gonna see the same price moving forward, but more than likely a price drop. So that would definitely be my suggestion there. So anyway, guys, yeah, just a little bit of PSA here. I got enough messages to warrant this video, kind of telling you guys to just hold off, just wait. Consumers have all the power in this market. It's your dollars. The manufacturers are spending your money to make their parts. So if you're not spending it with them, then of course, you know, it drives competition in terms of not just between brands, but wanting your money. And they're saying, how do we get it from you? And so they give you better incentives and stuff. So hang on to it. Anyway, guys, this is a quick PSA. Thanks for watching, and as always, we will see you in the next one.